All right, let's talk about something that can quietly cripple a business from the inside out. Employee theft. You'd be shocked how common it is and just how much it can cost. But the good news is there's a clear playbook to defend your company. So we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden threat and build out our defense plan step by step.
And look, this isn't some theoretical problem, right? When you see headlines like this one from CNBC, it's a huge reminder that this happens everywhere, from massive corporations like Tesla worried about trade secrets, all the way down to the smallest local shops. It's a risk for everyone.
So just how big of a risk are we talking about? Well, get this. U.S. businesses lose about $110 million every single day. That is just a staggering number. It really shows you the sheer scale of the financial damage that's happening all across the country.
But here's the kicker. You might think it's the big guys who take the biggest hits, but it's not. The businesses that get hurt the most are the smallest ones. You know, the ones with fewer resources and maybe not as many controls in place. They're the most vulnerable.
And if you want proof, just look at this number. For businesses with fewer than 100 employees, the median loss from a single case of theft is $150,000. For a small business, a hit like that, well, it can be game over.
Okay, so we've seen the shocking cost. But to really fight this, you got to know what you're up against. And theft isn't just one thing.
So let's break down what this actually looks like in practice. I mean, when we hear employee theft, most of us just picture someone pocketing cash from the till, right? But the reality is way more complicated. There are a bunch of different faces of fraud.
These are really the 5 most common types. It can be anything from stealing physical supplies to stealing sensitive company data. Or it could be misusing company services, payroll fraud, like faking your hours, and of course, the one we all think of, just straight up stealing cash.
Let's zoom in on supply theft for a second, because it's a sneaky one. It's actually gotten worse with more people working from home, stocking up the home office with company gear. And here's a wild stat. This kind of internal theft is responsible for more than a third of all inventory loss in U.S. stores.
And then you've got data theft, which, honestly, can be even more devastating. We're talking about someone walking away with your client lists, your secret product designs, or private employee files. The fallout from that goes way beyond money. We're talking lawsuits, huge fines, and serious damage to your company's reputation. This all leads to a really big question, right? Why? Why do otherwise good employees steal? It's not always just about simple greed. The reasons are usually a lot more complex, and they're often rooted in the psychology of the workplace.
A lot of the time, it just starts with an open door, a simple opportunity. If the controls are weak, the temptation can just be too much. Other times, it comes from resentment. An employee feels like they're underpaid or underappreciated, and they see stealing as a way to get what they're owed. And some just rationalize it, telling themselves it's a victimless crime against a big, faceless company. So, with all that in mind, take a guess. Who do you think causes the most financial damage? Is it the person on the front lines with easy access to the cash register, or is it someone else? Okay, the answer might actually surprise you. While executives are only behind about 20% of the cases, when they do steal, the median loss is a jaw-dropping $600,000. Why? Because they have more access and know how to cover their tracks. And if you're still not convinced, check this out. When you combine managers and executives, they are responsible for 55% of all employee fraud. So the takeaway here is huge. The biggest threats are often coming from the top. Okay, that's enough doom and gloom about the problem. Let's switch gears and talk about the solution. The great news is there are clear, powerful strategies you can use to protect your business. This is your 6-step defense plan.
The game plan is actually pretty straightforward. It all starts with hiring carefully in the first place. Then you need clear policies, and you've got to foster transparency. After that, you implement strong internal controls, conduct surprise audits, and, this one is key, you build a positive work environment.
So let's dig into one of those, internal controls. What does that actually mean? Well, here's the perfect example. If you have one single person who handles both paying the bills and checking the bank statements, you've created a massive opportunity for fraud. But if you use a simple dual authorization system where a second person has to sign off on all payments, you immediately close that loophole. See? It's all about creating those simple checks and balances.
But here's the thing. You can have all the rules and controls in the world, but they can't replace the single most powerful defense you have. And it's not something you can write in a handbook. It's your culture.
So here's the bottom line. When people feel valued, when they feel respected and paid fairly,
They become partners in protecting the business, not threats to it. So much of this stuff is rooted in people feeling like they've been wronged. A positive culture attacks the problem at its very source.
And this isn't just some feel-good idea. The data backs it up completely. 40% of employees who steal show red flags beforehand. Things like poor performance reviews, getting demoted, or having their hours cut. These are all signs of dissatisfaction that a strong, supportive culture can help you spot and fix before it ever escalates into theft. So, when it all comes down to it, you have to ask yourself this. Your rules can stop an action, sure. But does your culture stop the intent before it even begins? That is your ultimate shield.